The problem would come if he was watching porn and not wanting to have sex with you, as long as he is pointing that and channeling that.
Pointing the boner in your direction.
As long as he's pointing the boner in your direction, yeah.
My fiance and I have had issues in the bedroom for years. He's struggling with anxiety. He takes medication, which has massively affected his sex drive. Now, over the past few months, he's been asking me if I want to have sex, but it's always been after he's been on his phone in bed and has a raging boner. So I assume he's just been watching porn. I looked at his Google browser history on the computer we share, the same Google browser which is on his phone, and it turns out he's been watching porn right before asking me to have sex, as I assumed. I know I shouldn't have looked
a gadget.
I know I shouldn't have looked at his history, but I was going crazy and I was in two minds about it. One is complete jealousy, as I feel like he needs another girl to turn him on before he can sleep with me. But I also know that he's probably just doing what he needs to do first to get it up and get the job done, as I've been putting the pressure on lately. For context, we have a great relationship. We are getting married in a month. I know he finds me attractive. He's constantly tapping me on the butt or grabbing my boobs, etc. Why do men do that? But I'm just struggling to be okay with this. I also don't want to tell him that I've looked at his browser history, so I don't know how to talk about it first.
Well, firstly, Laura, what's wrong with a titty grab?
Oh, I don't hate it. Like, don't get me wrong. I don't mind like the butt slaps every so often, but sometimes like if I'm in the kitchen and I'm cleaning or I'm putting away laundry, having someone try and stick their finger in my ass when they walk past doesn't really arouse me.
Whoa, okay. We went from that escalated quickly. We went from a titty grab to a slip in the butt.
Like if I'm bending over doing the fucking dishes or whatever, Matt will come past and try and grab my ass, and I'm like, just stop. Like I'm in the middle of doing something, and I find that really annoying. And it's not arousing, and it's fucking annoying. Stop it.
There'd be some people that would be arousing for. I think that's more where you guys are at.
Yeah, wait until you have two children and you've been together for 7.5 years. And I don't think you want someone to stick their finger in your ass whilst you're trying to clean the dishes.
Oh, I do it intentionally. I bend over to do the dishwasher and I look over my shoulder at Ben. I'm like, here I am. No, I'm joking.
Well, you guys have got some time to come. Tell me that
Literally.
7 years.
Okay. I think my first thought for this, and there will be people that won't like this, but I don't think there's a problem with this. The problem would come if he was watching porn and not wanting to have sex with you, and that was consuming his time. But it sounds very much like you've had the discussion that you want more sex. For whatever reason, he might be having some issues, which is something that you need to investigate further. But I think if he's watching it to try to get a little bit excited and in the mood, and he's coming to you then, he's not jacking off in the bathroom without you and then saying, I don't feel like sex. He's doing it from what you've said so that you guys can go and have the great sex life that you are looking for. Is it the right way to go about it? I mean, for some people, it's not an issue. If it's an issue for you, it's an issue for you. That's where it comes from. But it sounds like he's not taking away from you. It sounds like he's just trying to get in the mood. And that's what porn is for, right? Porn is to stimulate you, to get your imagination going, to get your juices flowing. That's why it was created. So as long as he's pointing that and channeling that.
Pointing the boner in your direction.
As long as he's pointing the boner in your direction, yeah.
I don't know. I feel a little bit differently because I do think that if the only way you're able to get off is by watching porn, if that's the only way you're able to get in the mood to then have sex with your partner, I feel like that is and has become a crutch. And if it's affecting you, as in the person who's written this in, and it's upsetting you, then it is something that needs for a greater conversation, because I don't think that it's healthy to need to have porn as the only way to get in the mood to be able to have sex with your partner. For me, I would say that there is some other thing that's going on there that you would want to have a conversation with him about. The thing that I think, though, is very tricky is that you've said you don't want him to know that you looked at the browser history. So then how do you bring this up? Because if it is an issue for you or you are feeling insecure by it, a very honest conversation may open up that channel and may either A, make you feel less insecure, B, it'll give him an opportunity to explain why or what it is about that helps him, or C, explore new things in the bedroom, which might mean that he's able to get off easier without it just being about porn. I don't know. I think that for me, if the only way Matt was able to get in the mood to have sex with me, regardless of the fact that there's anxiety or there's medication or there's other things, was by watching porn, it would also, in the long term, start to make me feel a little bit insecure as well.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like we're looking into this, or maybe you are too. Maybe you haven't given us enough information. It doesn't sound like it's the only way he can do it. She just said that she's noticed that he'll be on his phone in bed, then he'll want sex after. That's what she's saying. So I don't think it's like it's the only way.
Well, no, she said over the last few months, he's been asking me if I want to have sex, but it's always been after he's been on his phone in bed and he already has a raging boner. So what I interpret has happened here is she's brought up with her partner that she's feeling as though their sex life isn't at a place that makes her satisfied, because she also said it's after she had put the pressure on a little bit. And so he is making an effort, but the only way in which he's able to make an effort is by watching porn.
The other thing here is that I think you can easily have that conversation. You haven't been snooping on his phone. You have a shared browser history. So it's pretty easy. When you go to type in something into your browser history, it often drops down what you've been looking at. So it's pretty easy for you to be like, hey, this just popped up. I've seen that you've been watching. I don't think that's a big conversation to have. You're marrying him next week.
Yeah.
This should be a conversation that's like, hey, you don't come to him like accusatory and you don't come with anger. It's like, hey, baby, I was looking on the computer and I saw you've been watching porn. Can I just ask, do you feel like I know you've been making an effort with me. Do you feel like you need to watch that to have sex? Is there something that like we could do differently or try to maybe help? I think it's a really easy conversation, to be honest.
I have a bit of a different opinion on this, and I just want to give her the alternate perspective as someone who is on medication like this and has been on medications in the past that have absolutely decimated my sex drive. Like pretty much any type of antidepressant or like ADHD medication or any anxiety medication has very known effects on your sex drive. For a lot of people, it completely disappears. I actually think this is a really kind thing that he's doing. Bear with me. I actually think
I don't have to bear with you.
Like he's probably quite aware of the fact that he's like, fuck, like I don't know why I don't. It's such a strange thing to explain because you can still find your partner just as sexually attractive and you can be like, yeah, I really enjoy sex, but just that it's like getting the ball rolling. You just have no desire whatsoever in your body to do it. And so, and I've personally experienced this. Like it is one of those things that I'm just like, I don't know why. It's just like, it's just not there at the time that I'm on these particular medications. And so I kind of am I'm putting a few things in place that maybe don't exist in your relationship, but he's probably aware of the fact that you are wanting to have a sexual relationship with him. And I truly, genuinely believe that he wants to have a sexual relationship with you. And so he's like, okay, this is a really good way for me to like get the ball rolling and get my juices flowing so that I can have sex with you in the way that I want to.
Yeah, I agree in some parts, but obviously, and like whether it's medication or anxiety, whatever is the, contributor to this, like he has an issue with managing arousal. Like he doesn't have arousal, but the problem is that he's relying on an external stimulant and will become conditioned to only being able to have sex if he's watched porn. And if that's the only way he's able to get off, like that is going to cause some long-term issues in a relationship. If the only time your partner wants to fuck you is if he's been laying in bed watching pornography prior, I understand why she feels not threatened, but she feels like, okay, maybe sometimes this is a way that we can get into the mood of having sex. But if this is a condition of him wanting to have sex with me and it's become something that is normal in their relationship, I would also feel as though that's something I would need to address.
I read a really interesting study the other day. Might have been on Psychology Today, and I'll try and find it. But it was around long-term relationships and being able to ejaculate or have sex, I guess even masturbation, but more than one time in a day in a long-term relationship. And what they found from these studies was really interesting, and I think it leans into this. Men that are probably from 30 on, like once they're past their peak ejaculation, in your early 20s, you can just go and go and go and go. Men that have been in long-term relationships that are a little bit older can really only have sex once, and then it takes quite a long time that day. Like if they could have sex another time in that day with their long-term partner, it's really, really, really hard. There's no way 1 hour later they can do it again. But when given the same day, so they've had sex with a long-term partner, when given external stimulus like porn that is somebody new, they can have sex. They will get a boner and they can ejaculate again far quicker than they can if it was their long-term partner. And once I read that, I was like, I sort of understand why people do need external stimulus in long-term relationships. It doesn't mean they don't love you as much. But if you've been with someone for 10 or 15 years and you know them inside out and you've had all of that initial burning chemistry at the start, it is going to take something different. And I'm not an advocate for porn. I'm not saying everyone should watch it, but I totally understand why some people need a helping hand to continue giving their partner what they need. And that's why I would be against porn in these questions when we've had Ask Uncuts, when the person is like, he won't be having sex with me, but I know he's watching porn. But I really feel like, sort of what Keisha said, I really feel like he's doing this because he's trying to give you what you need. And maybe he's not going about it the right way, but he's watching it and not ejaculating. He's watching it and then rolling over to you and saying, do you want to have sex? Like, I'm ready.
Yeah, but I understand why, as someone, you feel like a cum dumpster.
100%.
Get aroused by watching someone else and come and fucking off your load into me. Like, I really understand the points that you guys are making, but I deeply relate to why she is not okay with this as being the constant in her relationship. And I think that they need to have a conversation about it and put it out on the table. And I'm relating to it in terms of like, if that's where my sexual relationship got to with Matt, that the only time he wanted to have sex with me was after watching porn, I would be upset by that. So I'm understanding her feelings, that's all.
I very much do as well, especially if this is, like you said, it becomes a conditioned response. I think that if you're going to have this conversation, my only point of mentioning like how much this medication can affect you is, and it does sound as though you will enter the conversation with a lot of compassion of the fact that like it's a physiological thing. It's actually, and I'm only saying this because I have genuinely experienced it so much. It's not a psychological thing.
Yeah.
It's just like something is different in your body and you're just not able to get the hormones or whatever it is that causes you to be like, "Rrr," it just dissipates.
I think the medication thing is what sets it apart.
Yeah.
For me, I don't like this idea that just because you've been in a long-term relationship with someone that you need to have external stimulus to maintain desire. I think there needs to be big conversations around arousal, around what you both want in the bedroom, around all the things we've spoken about with Esther Perel. I don't think that porn should be the only thing that we go to try and maintain desire in a relationship, because for me, that's not really the desire with that person then. It is literally allowing you to get off so that you can have sex with someone else. I don't know. There's part of it that makes me, and I actually don't have anything against porn. I think it can be a great contributor, but I also think it can be something that takes away from relationships very much as well.
Yeah, of course. And like I said, this is an easy convo for you to have. You've got a shared history. Like, I don't think this is a way. It'd be a tiny bit harder if you had unlocked his phone and gone through his phone, like, you know, gone through his private stuff.
Totally.
But when you've got a shared computer, I think that's an easy in. But it's all around the way you approach it, which you've written to us so calmly and with such understanding that I think that you will approach it in the same way. Good luck.